an appointment by calling 530-674-1150 or on the web at shawassociatesinc.com. Shaw & Associates is proud to support community radio.
As always, we are grateful for Mr. Shaw. And if you'd like to support community radio, you can go to 93qradio.com, hit that donate button, and help us continue to promote our community. So we appreciate that. Well, this morning, my interview is with Katy Rose, which I know what you're thinking. Oh, she's a country music singer. No, she's not. Okay, but yeah, maybe she could be. But anyway, Katy Rose, how are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
So I met you a while back. I can't remember when, but we did a podcast, and I think you might have been new to the area at that time. You were just kind of coming in. But I actually think Lacey Nelson introduced me to you.
Correct.
I was at an event.
Correct.
And she was like, "Hey, this is my friend."
Yes, yeah.
And you really have had an interesting past in life that has moved forward to you, not only walking through things you've had to walk through, but now you have a serious passion to help people get better.
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to talk about that and then talk about an event you got coming up. So, All right, Katy, take it away.
Oh, okay. Shall I just jump into it then?
Just jump into it. And if I got a question, I'll go, well, what about that?
Okay, great. Well, I'm Katy Rose. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I specialize in diagnostic nutrition, and I'm a functional genomics practitioner, meaning I look at DNA. So the diagnostic nutrition side allows me to look at labs and understand on a deeper level what's going on in a body. We were just talking, you and I, about the subject of breast cancer. For instance, understanding the detox pathways for estrogen, and where if it does not detox properly out of the body, then it starts to store up and act against the cellular health. And with all things, this is, the cellular damage, DNA damage to the cell that begins to turn and convert into cancers. We also look at things like parasites being contributors, where they see tumors that are encapsulated parasites that have begun to protect against the die-off, or the ability to, it'll protect itself, and then that becomes a tumor sometimes. Lots of different mechanisms where we look at cancers, and cancer prevention and cancer recovery from a functional medicine and naturopathic nature is what I'm going to be talking about on August 22nd at Boyd Hall. It is a ticketed event. So Boyd Hall in Yuba City. I think the street is Lassen. Forgive me. Am I saying it right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a community center.
You can't miss it. It's a big building.
Yeah. So I'm working with the Seroptimists. I'm now a Seroptimist member of Marysville, Yuba City, and super proud to be friends with those girls. Talk about getting a wonderful collection of friends in my short time of moving here. But we're a large percentage of every ticket is going to the Seroptimists. And Seroptimists, if you don't know them, they help female causes. They help women in sports, because women's sports aren't funded like men's sports, boys' sports. We help with human trafficking education, getting into the schools, a lot of other programs, grants and services for women to further them, young mothers, a long, long list. So look up Seroptimists of Marysville, Yuba City. But on August 22nd, I'm going to be hosting a large master class. The class itself is 2 hours, and then I'm looking for there to be a wonderful Q&A time after. And it's an opportunity for the community to come out and hear the stuff they're not hearing from anywhere else. It's so confusing. The big C, cancer word, is so overwhelming. I literally have people in my life who refuse to say that word because they are fearful of it bringing in that energy. But if we understand, now if I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer today, I tell you, I would feel very action-oriented. I would still feel very hopeful. And that's because I know the mechanism of it. I also know the mechanism of what's going on in my body, because I'm running regular diagnostic labs at a deeper level than I could get through the conventional medical system. And I'm looking at, well, how's my body detoxing every day? There was a point where I was feeling pretty sluggish in my days. I ran my labs and I saw that I had a little bit of a slowed kidney detox pathway. That meant that things weren't flushing through my kidneys like they were supposed to. Well, if we go back to breast cancer, an estrogenic cancer, kidneys are one of the primary areas that our estrogens detox. That one of many other ways, but understanding these mechanisms to help us clear out. We have, not only our Doritos and Cheetos and Pepsi that maybe we all kind of...
Wait a minute. Cheetos are health food. I don't want to... You're stepping on my toes now, Katy.
So not only the things that we know we're putting into our body, but we have things coming at us from environmental toxins and plastics. And so if we understand that, yes, there's things coming in, how do we mitigate, slow that, deter away from it? But then how do we open up those detox pathways? Our lungs, our lymphatic system, our kidneys, our bowels. How do we get things flowing and cleaning properly? And there's so many ways that this is, one of my mottos is a smidge a day. Just take things in a smidge a day, and knowledge is our power, our superpower. So my job, my desire, my passion from my own life of healing, recovering my own body is that I'm able to just educate people, make them the CEO of them. Your doctor is your research assistant. Do not give them the power. They're not the CEO.
Well, I tell people all the time, because I have VA health, I'm a Vietnam vet, and I tell my doctors, this is what I want, right? This is what's wrong with me. Tell me what to do. But I understand I get the final decision. And if a path they send me down isn't working, I go back and say, I'm not taking that path. Yeah. And I think sometimes we just get where, well, if the doctor said it, I'll do it. And that is not healthy. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to tell you was, because I want to talk about detox for a minute, and that is, I understand that we're always told drink a lot of water. And there is something about water flushing our system out, right? So I get that. That's kind of foundational. But I met this gal, just really a sweet gal. She went to the church I pastored, and she had been an alcoholic. And her body was just, full of stuff.
She'd been through it.
So she went through, and I mean, for her age, this woman, she really looked good. So one day I said to her, I said, okay, so I know people who've come out of alcoholism, right? And they don't look like you, right? So she explained to me there was someplace in Reno that she had gone to, and there was a detox system. I think it started with a K. Gosh, I'm not going to remember now that I said that. But she went through that system where they literally detoxed her body in different ways. Yes. And she said it was all natural. There was no narcotics or anything. She really wasn't looking to come from alcohol but she said it was the most cleansing thing that she had ever been through, and they, in the end of it, they told her not just how to get the toxins out of her body, but how to keep them out.
Yes.
So it was just wonderful. I wish I could remember the name of it.
Well, and what you're making me think about is how people don't understand when we talk about detox. They think, I'm going to take this juice cleanse and do this for a minute, or I'll just detox my diet and I'll do a 30 days without sugar, alcohol, those types of things.
Without Cheetos.
Yeah. But
30 days, no Cheetos.
Yeah.
Drive a hard bargain, Katy Rose.
Well, you know what? I really love feeling good in my body, and I really love feeling alive. And so I'm always feeding into that. As you know from my past on being here, I was on death's doorstep, and formerly morbidly obese, long line of psych meds, huge list of medical diagnoses and errors happening in my own body, and I refute that. Right? I came out of that and am building a life that's just prosperous in a body, right? The prosper of my cells. Mm-hmm. But the detox is interesting because what gets missed, and fortunately we're seeing a little bit more conversation around this, is cellular detox. So we're not just talking about like the bowels flushing and you getting 2 to 3 regular stools a day, and that's like, oh, my body's working. The problem is the cell itself, our cells, which are where our life comes from, and the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell where we build and make energy. The cell itself, I want you to think about it as this little orb or ball, and it gets coated in junk. Things happen to it. Floating around in the blood is dirty with glucose, environmental toxins, extra hormones that aren't detoxing, and it starts to get damaged and gunked up, if you will. Well, you think about, we know about through insulin resistance and diabetes. Insulin resistance literally speaks to the insulin can't get into the cell. The cell has become resistant to it because it's just taken too many hits from that insulin. Insulin is the king hormone, and all the other hormones follow suit. Your other hormones have to get in there too. We have all these little spots on the cell where things have to feed in. If that's gunked up and damaged and beat up and kicked around and it can't any longer get access, we have to look at detoxing on a cellular level. Also, what are the things that have penetrated cellularly? And so the detox on a cellular level is something like someone like me, if I have a client that goes through a protocol with me, I'm conscientious to cleanse their bowel system, their digestive tract, before I start working on the cellular cleanup. So the supplement NAC, glutathione. These are some of the elements that help to clean up on a cellular level. But you know what? If I clean up that cell, push it through the blood, push it out into the bowel system, and that bowel system is blocked up, guess what? It's going to sit in there long enough, it'll be reabsorbed back into the blood.
Oh, that's right. Because
So we have to make sure that when we detox in order. So an institution like you're talking about, I don't know anything about them. I speculate that they're looking at really cleaning up all the elements, getting the liver flushed and supported so that it can do its job, helping with bile production. So if we have digestive enzyme issues, maybe we have a lot of heartburn after we eat, that says to me maybe there's a bile issue, and our gallbladder makes bile also to help flush out the liver. And so these are things, well, if we have digestive issues, then we might have a bile issue. That bile issue might be impacting how cleaned out our liver gets, right? I like for people to think about their liver like a sponge in the kitchen sink. You've got those sponges that they're fresh, they're brand new, and you run the water through it and you squish it and everything's nice and clean. And then you've got those sponges that have been sitting in there full of dirty, yucky stuff, and it hasn't been cleaned out. You go to wipe the counter and it leaves a residue. That's what happens in your blood. We get a residue of too many liver enzymes in the blood, because that liver is not doing its work. So the folks at that organization may have cleaned her sponge.
Yeah, well, she did talk about her a cleansing that went on in her liver because of the drinking.
Yeah.
So she did talk about that. So Katy, one of the things that troubles me, and I'm going to speak specifically about pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
So sometimes it seems like certain medicines deal with a symptom, but don't really deal with what's causing it. And so I don't know about anybody else, but it seems like on television, in particular, every other ad is for a pharmaceutical, and there might be 2 different medications for the same thing, right, that they're advertising. And then we all joke about it, but they always like, and if you take
the disclaimer, your arm might fall off.
Yeah, but you get rid of the rash, right?
Exactly.
And so,
the rash on your arm.
so with what you just said, my question is, so can even the pharmaceuticals actually put toxins in your body by the
Absolutely.
very nature of what they are. So they may get rid of the symptom, but they're creating one more problem, and that's why the side effects.
Well, and I will say that yes, for pharmaceuticals and even the over-the-counter vitamins and supplements, I get so frustrated, and so I'm not against everything. I am into triage medicine. I do believe in it. Sometimes we get to a certain point in our body that we need a crutch to hold us up and start to repair things. But on the back end, let's look deeper at your labs. Let's look at supplementation, herbs, natural forms of healing to help support that so that you are not permanently on some medicine that is also contaminating your liver or, contributing to dementia is a common one, or contributing to damage to your bowel system. Damage to your bowel system says, I'm going to interrupt my ability to absorb my nutrients. Guess what? That feeds into your complete and entire system's needs for nourishment. So, one, yes, on the pharmaceuticals, but two, I really want people to be so informed about ingredients across the board. Lacey and I laugh and joke a lot about, she'll ask me a question about a supplement, or she'll put it in front of me. And it's just the other day, she said, hey, I'm hearing really good things about this particular thing for digestion. And it had maltodextrin in it. And maltodextrin is a gut deteriorator, a gut deterrent. And I'm like, okay, so this is supposed to help your digestion, but it's doing damage to your digestion.
It helps it by removing it.
Exactly. I'm like, this is my problem with a lot of medicine or pharmaceuticals or supplements is on the front end. It may feel relieving and beneficial, but on the back end. And so that's another part of the cancer conversation that you and I just had, where, I am all about, please do your due diligence, be the CEO of you. Do follow your intuition. Your soul knows what it needs to do. But I'm on the back end going to tell you, also be informed that chemotherapy also kills the white blood cells that enable you to continue to fight cancer. So when we do chemo, we see a huge benefit on the front end, but then we see a reoccurrence of the cancers. And I am very humble when I talk about this.
Because of the body's natural ability
it
with
takes
white blood
away.
cells.
And so when it comes, but when the cancer comes back, that's because you not only took out some of the cancer, not all of it, right? Some of the cancer with the chemo, but then you took away the body's white blood cell fighters, right? You damaged that one of the elements in there. And so that's a lot of times why we see a resurgence of the cancer later. So this is speaking to, what we're talking about with the pharmaceuticals as well. And again, I can't tell you how humble I am in this conversation because every case is different.
That's one of the things I was going to ask you about. There were 7 kids in my family. And they're always asking genetically, what diseases did your mom have or your dad have? And I believe that genetically things can be passed on. I don't have a problem with that.
I call it, in functional medicine, we commonly say that genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. So it may set you up for that potential, but then what are the things we do to mitigate it or enable it?
So, my dad lived a very unhealthy lifestyle. Stress. He was a World War II veteran. The guy had been through everything. And he didn't take care of himself. He went to work. He came home, laid on the couch. He ate big steaks. He didn't care what he ate, right? So he was 53 when he died of arterial sclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries, right?
Yes.
I mean, nowadays they got stuff to help him, right? But back then they didn't. And then so when they asked me, was there heart disease in my family? Yes, there was. But my lifestyle is nothing like my father's.
Yeah.
And so I do think, I appreciate what you said. I might have got that past. My mom died of brain cancer, and I had cancer on my vocal cords, and I had skin cancer. So it's like, well, did I get that from my mom, or did I get the skin cancer from being out in the sun when I was younger? I just was like, I love of the sun. It's like sunblock. What's that? I always burn. People say, I always burn, right? So I don't know how much, and I'm glad you said that, how much is the choices we make. Yes, genetically things can get passed down, but that doesn't mean you got to fear what was passed down to you.
Your genetic code, and this is why I love running DNA. And so it's over 40 billion data points that they take from your DNA. So when I send a test kit to somebody's house for a few $100s, over 40 billion data points, and then it's cross-examined against the entire Genome Project. So it's like, okay, this is legit. And when I talk about DNA, I always like to tell people, your DNA coding, I want you to think about a period after a word, a letter in a word in a sentence in a paragraph in a page in a chapter, a chapter in a book, and then go to the entire Library of Congress content of encyclopedias, and that's your DNA coding. It's so much data, and it's not just one point, because people will fixate on, I have this gene variant. It's how does it interplay into that paragraph, if you will. So I'm about to blow your mind, because you left something on the table just now that I cannot handle. And I want to talk about skin cancer, sun damage, and the sun. So I am going to blow you out of the water here.
Good.
Yeah. This may be uncomfortable for you, so brace yourselves. One, it's important to understand what contributes to skin cancer. So one thing I like to tell people is, when you think about like sunspots or sun damage, I want you to think about when you've put barbecue on a piece of meat, like a sweet barbecue sauce, or you've got a teriyaki on a tri-tip, and then you stick it on the grill, what gets burnt first? The sugar spots.
Yes.
We are the same. So those sunspots and sun damage are a huge part of what's going on with the glucose story in your body. That's number one. Number two is seed oils. So seed oils, we think about rapeseed oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower seed oil, all these seed oils. So they sound lovely. It sounds healthy. But the problem with it is, I want you to think about the amount of content of seeds it takes for me to sweep an entire field of seeds and distill that down into an oil. Now, I want you to think about your ancestry. Did they ever consume that quantity of seed? So we've distilled it down.
No,
so
olive oil.
Yeah, it is. And that's not coming from the seed. It's coming from the meat.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with avocado. So what I want you to understand is twofold. One, the quantity of seed it takes to distill down to get that oil is greater than anything your ancestral DNA could have ever consumed.
That's interesting.
It's in counter to your DNA.
I hear that, Katy, all the time, that it's like, look, what did your, like, for example, I have my great-grandmother's recipe for spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, that's wonderful, it's from Italy. But there's very few items in it.
Yeah.
So contemporary, we put all kinds of stuff in spaghetti sauce. Back then it was tomatoes,
and we're concentrating
oregano,
things. Concentrate.
Yeah. And then they cooked it down. So it wasn't the same as all the stuff we get. So what you're saying is, a lot of the products that sound healthy may in fact not be healthy, and your ancestors didn't eat that.
So that much linoleic acid, which is what the content is in that much seed, is linoleic acid. That is DNA damaging.
Wow.
So seed oils are DNA damaging on the very nature of what they are. Now, the processing to get them clean enough and pure enough to go into your flavor palette is a lot of hexanes and a lot of over-processing. Well, those are cancer-promoting as well. So we've taken something, we've said, this is going to be against your DNA, and we're going to consume a lot of it. And then we're going to, purify it and cleanse it with hexanes, which, look up hexanes, it's like completely aggressive. And so seed oils in themselves are DNA damaging, and they promote free radicals. And free radicals are where your molecules don't know how to perform anymore. They're like wild cards, and who knows what kind of trouble blowing up situation they could create, right? So there's
I came from the 60s, Katy. We were all free radicals.
Yeah. Well, the good kind, the intentional kind. These are just messy. So free radicals, your linoleic acid, so the seed oils and the sugar are a huge story. The other part is the sunscreen. Since they have gone aggressive with promoting sunscreen, skin cancer has gone up. Everybody's slathering this stuff on, and the rate of skin cancer has gone astronomically up.
Well, I'm glad I never used it now.
Yeah. So that's because it's a petroleum-based product. So let me put a flammable petroleum-based chemical on my skin. There's an agenda, is what I'm saying. There's an agenda. And, I get myself in trouble here, so I better watch it. But the reality is, so now I want to teach you about people who burn and people who don't burn. So people who are maybe live in Michigan and go to Florida for the summer and get burnt because they're not used to the sun, people like that is our highest rate of skin cancer. People who daily live in, love in, adore the sun, practically naked or naked, whatever, getting all the exposure, they are people who never see sun cancer. And that's because they have a callus. When the sun comes through, so it's a couple of things. They call it a sun callus, and that's kind of a crude way of calling it. But one is vitamin D is a hormone, not a vitamin that you can take. It's a synthetic form if you take it. But vitamin D is a hormone. When the sun comes through the skin and meets with the cholesterol under your skin, then that's where vitamin D is made. Well, guess what vitamin D is? Anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. Cancers are from a chronic inflammation state, right? This is the disease of the cell. So if we understand that regular feeding, and vitamin D forms only when the sun is 30% above the horizon. So mid-morning to mid-afternoon, so that glorious high time of the day is the only time of day that I can form vitamin D. Let me get out into it for 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And my sunscreen, and I will tell you, I'm Irish and German, a little bit of Cherokee, but it didn't seem to help me for a lot of years. And I burned. I burned like a crisp every time I went out. I burned like a crisp my whole life. Couple of things changed. One, I changed my sugar story. I pulled away the seed oils, but I started going out regularly into the sun and getting that little bit and growing that melanin. So the other thing too, and this will be the last thing I drop about this, I just get really addicted to this topic, is sunglasses. The melanopsin in our eye is a data point of light coming in our eye. When we get a lot of light exposure outside, it tells the chemistry in our brain, hey, we're exposed to sunlight. Can you go ahead and make a little melanin for the skin and give me a little bit of that coat to protect me from the sun? So the amount of sunglasses everyone's wearing, and I say this also with caution because my light-eyed friends are going to be like, I have to, it hurts. Well, also I have light-eyed clients who, as they worked with me longer, the light sensitivity improved. They did not need their sunglasses as much later as they did before. But I always say, use a ball cap. You're wearing a ball cap, sit under an awning. Even if we're sitting under the shade, but we can observe the sun, it's data going in to make us have more melanin. So it's a very powerful story. So my son, and I'll expose a lot more of this in that class, but I gave a big drop today of these are the things I do to prevent skin cancer.
All right. So we ran long, but it's okay.
Okay.
So here's what I want to do. This is a great opportunity because I had talked to you, so I kind of knew where we could go because you are passionate. So I wanted people to get just enough of a feel of this, kind of a taster. It's like, look, this is what Katy Rose is about. This is her life. This isn't just she went and read a book and then she's going to pass this on. This is, I lived it. This is my story. I don't know everything. I'm discovering new things every day.
The discovery is amazing.
I love when they first talked about DNA, they said we found the mapping device.
Yeah.
So they asked the scientist, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, He said it doesn't mean now we can fix everything. So he said, if you want to consider the DNA map, this is what it's like. Somewhere in America, a light bulb just went out. Go find it and change it.
Yeah.
So it's that huge, right?
Yeah.
So we've only just started. But anyway, so they'll have an opportunity. So you'll be speaking on August 22nd.
Yes, sir.
At the
Boyd Hall.
At Boyd
in
Hall.
Yuba City.
What time is that?
It's from 2 to 4.
2 to 4, okay.
And tickets are being sold on Eventbrite, and it's a really, really affordable ticket price. We kept it low so that just about anybody could come. And if they look on my business, my practice name is the Katy Rose Effect, like the butterfly effect. So it's Katy Rose Effect Cancer, and then .eventbrite.com, I think. So if you could just put in Katy Rose Effect Cancer Eventbrite, it should come up.
All right. Well, listen, we really appreciate you coming on.
I love it. Thank you,
We're going to have to
Bish.
do more of it, somehow work this out. And I just think it's great when people see an alternative to what they're constantly being told, do this. It may not be what you should be doing. I remember years ago, I was a young guy, and I was working out in the sun all the time, construction. And the guy I work with said to me one day, you got to quit drinking sodas.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're always thirsty because the sodas, you drink one, and the soda, you'll be thirsty
The
again.
sugar and the caffeine.
And I went, oh, I said, so what do you drink? And he had one of those like big jug things. He said, it's water, and I squeeze lemons into it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Katy, I started doing that, and I have been a water drinker ever since.
I love it.
Because
Your
I
liver thanks you
found out-
for it.
Well, what happened was I found out water actually quenches my thirst.
Yeah.
And so there's just things like that I know you learn in life, but in going to the event with you, you realize that this will probably be not your last event. Once people get a little taste
Yeah.
of, oh, well, then
We
what
actually
else, right?
are working with Sir Optimus for every 2 months to repeat it. So
that'd
this
be
year we've got a series of events coming up. Everything from hormones, and we'll be talking GLP-1s and what to think about them, where they come in handy, what not to do with them. And yeah, we've got a long list of things to talk about.
So Katy Rose, she still loves me, though I am a major Cheeto eater. I'm really not. It's sparingly, but I love those things. Thanks, Katy.
Love you, Fish.
This community interview is made possible by Shaw and Associates.
I'm Dave Shaw.